Mere Conservatism.
I'm Cleve Walker, and that's David Perry, and we're both grinning from ear to ear. I hope one of the reasons you're happy is about the election results this past Tuesday night. They were pretty good.
Sure, yeah. Democrats, especially super left-wing Democrats, got trounced pretty bad. McAuliffe in Virginia is about as slimy as a politician as you can get, and he lost the race in Virginia, which is
that's huge.
People don't like to admit it, but it is a referendum on Democrats nationally.
And on Biden in particular.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that was huge, and we're going to touch on that a little bit more.
And, of course, one of my favorite things, Cleve, is listening to the leftists on the news networks talk about elections when Democrats lose, because they are it's funny. They have an opportunity here to say, where have we gone wrong?
Yeah.
Where is our messaging wrong? Are we out of touch? Do we not understand what people want? They don't do that. They say they just love white supremacy.
That requires a little bit of humility, and that's something they don't.
Yeah, they do not have that. They actually think that the answer is people like white supremacy. This was the left's defense of Barack Obama when he was president for 8 years. If you disagreed with something about Barack Obama, it was because you hated black people. You didn't like him because he was black, not because his policies were bad, because that couldn't possibly be the answer, right? It's the arrogance of these people. And you mentioned that. You have to have humility to be able to be introspective and see maybe something that you're doing wrong.
Yeah, and they don't have it. I'm actually hoping and praying, David, they don't learn humility, because they don't realize that when they double down and triple down like they're doing right now, it only amps up our side, and a lot of other people who are not normally on our side are also amped up by some of their ridiculousness. Before we get too far into this, we forgot where I was headed on this, and I want to get back into this.
Okay, go back.
This is the important news, but the thing I want to get back to is the Atlanta Braves.
Oh, yes, of course.
As World Series champs. And how, again, it's been so long, David, since I had something to root for, and it just felt so good to have a positive impact like
26 years since
the
last time they won. And John Smoltz was on the broadcast, which was cool. He's on that team. He said something really interesting. He said, and, of course, if you don't care about baseball or the Braves, I'm sorry, but we do. We love it.
This is bigger than that, but go ahead.
So he said the 95 Braves team, they were supposed to win.
Right.
They had been there twice already to the World Series and had failed to win it. They were supposed to win, so it was more like a monkey off their back thing. This Braves team this year was never supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Defeated all odds. In fact, they were the redheaded stepchild of Major League Baseball this year. Remember, they were supposed to have the All-Star game in Atlanta.
Yep, I do remember that.
Rob Manfred, the MLB commissioner, stripped it away from them, sent it to Colorado, something I will never forgive him for. But they were not supposed. They took the All-Star game out of Atlanta. Well, the Braves just said, okay, well, we'll just have 3 World Series games here then.
Which more than made up for the financial hit they took from the All-Star game, by the way.
It's amazing that they did that, and it was a big. Manfred had to stand on the podium and hand the World Series trophy to the Atlanta Braves. And he got booed mercilessly in Houston by the Braves fans that were there, which was good.
Well, see, now, this is why I said this is bigger than baseball, David. Because when I see Manfred doing that, in my mind, the symbology is I see those who are kowtowing to progressivism and to the left having to release the victory trophy to our side. Not saying that the Atlanta Braves represents, all of our side, but this is what happens to me when if we win, if we achieve, if we do the right things, they eventually will have to hand over the trophy to us. And I believe we got it back a little bit in Virginia too.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think it's the same thing that happened. McAuliffe messed up so badly because he was very honest about what the Democrats really believe and do. And his downfall, Cleve, was in that debate when he said that parents shouldn't be telling teachers what to teach their kids.
And David, he doubled down on that. I mean, I would have thought he would have backed off and moderated a little bit, but again, it's that hubris.
They actually believe that, though. Yeah. See, that's the problem. He said something that is true. Democrats don't think that parents should have control over their kids'
Government
education.
Government is the custodian of your kids.
Your kids' children belong to all of us, they think.
Yeah. It takes a village.
Yeah, no, they don't. So McAuliffe said that, stumbled over himself. From that point forward, it was straight downhill for him.
It was.
And Youngkin was able to catch up.
But Youngkin did the right thing. First of all, he kept him on that. I mean, he made that his rallying cry for parents, for the mama bears, so to speak. And so I think Youngkin, who I was never familiar with before this, I think he did a masterful job of staying laser focused on the progressives and their agenda, and particularly McAuliffe's, cavalier attitude.
And I don't think Youngkin is some rock rigged conservative or anything
not.
like that.
He's not.
But he is a Republican, and he has the right idea when it comes to education. More than anything, more than the person of Glenn Youngkin, what the Virginia race is about is a bellwether for the rest of the country. Because if they can flip Virginia red, a state that Biden won by 10 points, and if they can basically turn New Jersey 16 points towards the red.
That was astounding.
Now, the Democrat won in New Jersey, but
just barely.
And that's a state, again, that I looked at the numbers right before I came in here. Joe Biden won that state by 16 points. New Jersey is very blue.
They were shocked. I mean, they were shell-shocked by that.
And so what you're seeing is Democrats underperforming Joe Biden drastically, and Joe Biden's approval numbers are way, way down. It's a big problem for Democrats because Joe Biden does have coattails. They go in the wrong direction. He's dragging people down with him.
You got me for a second. I was going to say, this guy, it's funny because they brought him in, they brought Kamala in, and, normally you bring your president and vice president in, you do get some kind of bump. But you're right. They got bumped, I think, in the wrong direction. Yeah. Nobody wants to see Biden. Nobody wants to see Kamala. I mean, they don't have any coattails in a positive way at all.
Well, and remember this, Cleve, that this is not it shouldn't be a totally unforeseen trend, because even Joe Biden winning the election in 2020, there were a lot of moderate Democrats that won elections and a lot of Republicans that won elections, even in the 2020. Remember, down ticket.
Right.
Republicans actually did pretty well. They did lose the Senate and all that stuff. I'm not saying that it was great for Republicans, the 2020 election. It wasn't. However, you could see already in more local races, smaller races, that there was somewhat of a rejection against the hard left.
Well, the election never did show that the nation itself as a whole bought into the progressive agenda. Well, that was the message they were saying. That they weren't. But that was
Joe Biden won the primary and the election mostly because he was supposed to be moderate.
Right. Yes, you're right.
And that hasn't come to fruition. He's been an old senile man. And has been very left and very radical.
He's been whatever they wanted him to be. I'm talking about the progressives. That's what he did. Now, forget about Youngkin for a second. Okay, I'm happy you got a Republican governor of Virginia. Like I said, I don't think he's super conservative, but compared to what else Virginia offers, he is. The lieutenant governor, a gal named, I love her name, Winsome Sears.
Winsome Sears.
Nice
name.
A person of color. Okay.
She's black, a.k.a.
Anyway, she became the first female lieutenant governor of Virginia and the first woman of color to win statewide office in that state. And she's something I think you like, and I like it too, but I think you would appreciate it. She's a former Marine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that.
Did you see that picture?
I did. I saw the picture of her in the AR-15. I saw her speech. She seems like a really in charge kind of lady, doesn't she?
Yes. I mean, and something else near and dear to our heart, she's also an unabashed Christian. I mean,
I didn't know that. I was just about to say she gives off a church lady vibe, but not the church lady that's really like sweet and nice, but the church lady that's tough.
Yeah.
The one that will spank you in front of your mom and dad if you're running in church or something like that.
And that is the church lady she is. Yeah. But no, she's a Christian. She loves America. She's patriotic. She led the crowd in a chant USA. I mean,
you know what I love about that? Okay. She started the USA chant and then she cut it off. During her speech, she actually did like the throat slash, like, okay, stop. I'm ready to keep talking now.
Like a Marine would.
She's just an in-charge kind of person. I had to laugh at that.
Even her husband was a former Marine, by the way.
Yes.
So this is a patriotic
awesome
family. An immigrant family.
Jamaican.
What's that now?
She's Jamaican.
Right. So
her parents were Jamaican.
Right. So my point is, she ought to be a rock star, even to the people on the other side who claim that they love to see the glass ceiling broke and they love to see minorities. You
haven't heard a peep about her.
Not one word. Well, I take it back. On MSNBC, that Jamil gal, the black gal on there, she said some pretty nasty things, about her. But what
is it Jamil Harris? Is that her name?
Yeah,
she is. Yeah. She is nuts.
Yeah, and
but this lady said, was it Camille?
Camille?
No, the lieutenant governor. What's her name?
Winsome Sears.
Winsome.
Yeah, Winsome Sears.
I botched that. Winsome said that when she joined the Marines, she was Jamaican. She wasn't even American.
Right.
She was black.
Right.
And she loved this country so much she was willing to die for it.
I thought that was so powerful.
And it is powerful because that's not the message you hear from the left and from people like Janine Harris or whatever her name is. You don't hear that from people like that. You hear that this is a vicious, racist country.
Yeah.
And it is inspiring to hear somebody like Winsome.
I'm excited about her. I think she's a rock star now in the GOP party. She could never be president, though, because of her, not being a natural-born American. But having said that, she wasn't the only one. There was a Hispanic guy who won the attorney general position there in Virginia.
Also a Republican.
I was trying to look at his name. His name is Jason Mayares.
Okay.
And he would be the first ever Latino attorney general of Virginia. He's also the son of a Cuban immigrant. Again, that's the diversity, David. It's on our side, not on theirs.
It has been for a long time.
Yeah, not by their way of reckoning or the way they portray it. But see, again, and another reason I'm excited about the governorship, as I said, the governors are going to have to fight this fight that we're going through now with Biden and the White House. It's got to start with the governors.
Yeah.
So this is one more now that we can put in that column that's going to help with the resistance.
That's right. And I think that the big win, unless you're in Virginia, which we're not, the big win for the country is what this signals for next year.
You got
the midterm elections. Because if this is any indicator, if things don't turn around drastically for the Democrats, which we're going to talk about in just a second, is not likely to happen based on what they're doing, then it's going to be an absolute landslide a year from now.
Yeah, which is why, and this is the dark cloud over this otherwise beautiful, sunny, picturesque landscape right now, this is why they've got to change the election laws. It's the only, and by the way, Schumer is already bringing that back up. It's called the John Lewis Civil Rights Voting Act or some foolishness, and they've got to nationalize, they've got to federalize rather these elections, because if they don't, if they allow us to get a handle on this massive mail-in balloting stuff that started because of the pandemic, and we make sure that there are at least halfway decent elections in the country, you're right, they will get turned out of office. And I'm talking about in a
I don't
huge
think
way.
they're going to get anything else done. And we talked about months ago when Afghanistan happened that Joe Biden's presidency is over. And I think we're seeing that because all goodwill for Joe Biden is gone at this point.
On every side.
It's pretty much all gone.
Right.
His legislative agenda is it's floundering. Mm-hmm. He's going to be lucky to get anything. He wants to pass this infrastructure bill and this huge spending bill, this budget. Both are floundering.
Right.
It's not looking good. And now the Democrats' hopes for re-election next year are looking really bad. And they're doubling down on a lot of this stuff. So Democrats have a chance here after this election to kind of change course, kind of change what they're doing, and maybe salvage their election hopes somewhat. But they're saying, you know what? It's because everybody's racist. It's because they love white supremacy. People just love white supremacy in this country. That's why they voted for Winsome, a black female Marine,
first ever,
because they love white supremacy. That makes sense, right? And Joe Biden has pushed forward his plan to make OSHA force businesses to vaccinate their employees.
And you led into our very next point. Okay,
this is going to be a huge problem
because it's already started. Okay, we've already seen in the airline industry, and hospitals and other places, a shortage that's becoming apparent as a result of people saying no to the mandate. Now we're going to see it in earnest.
Yeah, well,
and I got to tell you, on the 4th, I believe we're going to see some real hiccups in our nation's economy and other stuff as a result of this mandate.
It's going to be a real problem, and Joe Biden has basically just given people on the right an opportunity to sue him.
Yeah. We're going to have to.
And we're going to, they're getting sued right now. I mean, as we speak, there are lawyers working on this. The Alliance Defending Freedom is working on it. There are others working on this regulation, and it's going to come up, and people are going to get a chance to. It's going to be a big, big issue, and it's not going to look good for Democrats.
Several states are already mounting their lawsuit challenge, including your state of Georgia and my state of South Carolina.
Yep.
Several other states are doing it, and their attorneys general. And I knew it was going to go before the courts. And the big issue, of course, will be the Supreme Court.
And I don't believe, Cleve, for a second that Joe Biden is going to win this.
I agree with you.
I don't think it's going to. I think it's going to get struck down. I think it's going to be a big embarrassment for him. This is a bad look. It sort of made sense for him to make an announcement that he wanted to do it at the time he did it, because he's trying to get attention off Afghanistan.
Right.
And he could have said that he wanted to do it and that he was going to do it, and then kind of slow walk it, and then it would have been better for him to never implement it and just say, well, it didn't work out, and we ran into some problems with it, blah blah blah. He's actually doing it. Yeah. I thought he was going to slow walk it and never actually do it. He was just going to threaten it and never do it. But now he's doing it, and it's going to be I think it's going to be a big L for him. And he has already had way too many in his very short presidential run. He has had very few wins and a lot of L's, and this is going to be a big one.
And the results of the elections Tuesday night, I think, also stiffened the spines of people like Sinema and Manchin.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
If it didn't, they're nuts.
Right.
Look, Joe Manchin might as well be the president of the United States.
For the power he has right now, no doubt about it. I mean,
and again, he's in the reddest state in the country.
And he's just seen his party get a shellacking, letting him know that to go in their direction bears no political.
In fact, it doesn't matter what he does; he's in danger with a D next to his name.
Yeah.
Even if he does the right thing, he needs to. He has no incentive unless they offer him some Secretary of State or whatever, some cabinet position he wants to have. He's got no incentive whatsoever to do anything, because if he does, he will lose his seat in West Virginia.
Now let's understand something here. Now, the new figure I'm hearing is $1.2 trillion that Manchin himself might find acceptable, depending upon what's in the bill. Let's understand something here. $1 trillion. Or anything even approaching that is still way too much, and will add to the inflation and cause other problems. But what you and I have also been saying, it's what's in that bill.
Yeah, it doesn't matter the amount.
Exactly.
It's in it. And also, the if all you look at is the dollar amount, you can be very easily misled, because what they do is they come up with these programs and then they sunset the program to make it look like it ends after a year. So it's not going to spend that much money, when we all know what's going to happen in a year. Congress is going to vote to extend it, and it's going to cost more money. And so the number, if all you look at is the number, that's a game.
Right.
Okay, they're just twisting numbers. It's like statistics. They can make it look however they want to when it comes to the amount of money spent.
Right.
Look at the programs, and what you're seeing is social engineering.
It's a takeover. It's an entire takeover of the government, of the private sector, as far as business is concerned.
It's cradle to grave. It's cradle to grave. Government, state.
So that's my thing about that. So they're compromising in their mind's eye, or trying to make it feel like it, by saying, okay, we'll leave the 3.5 out of there. We'll drop it down to 1.2, and maybe they're trying to convince Manchin and Sinema to go along with that. Now, Manchin has already indicated he's not in favor of the huge taxes and stuff that this is going to require.
I don't think that Manchin is going to vote for the spending bill. I think almost any way you slice it, I don't think he's going to.
I hope you're right.
He wants to vote for the infrastructure bill.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want to vote for the spending bill. In the House, the leftists, they want to vote for the spending bill, but not the infrastructure bill, because they think that they can get him to do what they want him to do by not voting on the infrastructure bill unless he votes for the spending bill. But again, they don't have leverage over him.
And
they don't.
And whatever leverage they thought they had is now less after the elections. And then speaking of those elections, one more thing I want to bring out right quick, and this to me is heartening, David, hopefully for people like you especially. And I say that because I see people like you, not necessarily saying you, I'm not trying to push you into running for any political office.
Oh, but goodness gracious.
But here it is.
Why would you wish that on me?
Now, New Jersey, that they are shell-shocked about that. I mean, yeah, they got their governor in, but they had no idea. They had no idea the groundswell that Republicans were getting. Well, Edward Durr is a GOP candidate. He was in the election. He was a truck driver, okay? As a matter of fact, in the primary, GOP primary, he spent only $153 on his primary campaign, but he won it. And in the general, he spent only around $5,000, which sounds like a lot of money to me and you. But for general election statewide, you
that's a statewide election?
Statewide.
What position did he win?
He was running for state senator to replace one of the most popular state Democratic senators there. A guy been there like 10, 15 years or so. He beat him. He won, David. Now, see, that tells me something right there. And I only brought him up because he's an example. Again, he's not a politician. He just said, I got tired of seeing what was happening. I got tired of seeing what our governor was doing to our state. I got tired of all the high taxes. And I said, I got a little, change. I'll use what I can and ask for more. And he defeated a top state Democrat senator to become now a Republican state senator there.
That is a really bad sign for Democrats.
Think about it. Now, I brought that up too.
You beat an incumbent state senator with $6,000?
$5,000.
Well, hey, round it up. He spent $150 on pizza during the primary. So, that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, the angst that must be being built up in that state is something that even the Democrats didn't see. And here's the cool thing about it. Again, I said this to you. We're going to have people do what this guy did. We can't keep looking around and saying, okay, where's the next best political professional politician that we can get and put them up? No, and it's like in Virginia. Parents are winning those school boards seats now. They're winning them.
Yeah,
they are. And we're going to have citizens do that because I'm afraid we relinquished all that years ago and it left the vacuum that the progressives filled. Now, guys like this are saying it's time to take it back.
It's good to see normal, regular people do some of these jobs.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you need a professional politician. I don't necessarily have anything against people who that's what they do. I don't think they should be doing it for their entire life, like somebody like Joe Biden. But this guy's a truck driver, and now he's a state senator, and he's a Republican, and he's going to bring a good perspective, I think, to that job. And more than anything, I think that, again, shows it's the bellwether that Democrats are going in the wrong direction. They are out of touch with people.
Well, again, it shows me, and I try to tell this to my friends who get so discouraged. I said, listen, I know the media is painting it like the nation has taken a hard left turn, but I'm telling you, at this time anyway, that's not true. The majority of people in this nation are not hard left. Although the media tries to present it that way over and over again. I said, no, not yet. It hasn't happened yet. We were out of power. We let them get in there. But the populace says, if that's what progressivism is, I don't want any part of it. I love that. Mm-hmm. And I'm just sorry, David, it did actually happen to see it in operation before folks responded to it.
And one more thing, I know we're getting to the end here, but the 2020 election, we had a lot of people that lost trust in the election process.
Yes.
And I really think that it's a good thing to see Republicans win, if not just so that our side can see that campaigning and voting actually does matter.
It does. A good point.
Because here's something that could have happened. If Democrats sweep these elections, our side could be even more demoralized and start to think even more that our votes don't matter and that everything is rigged.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes that can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. In fact, I think that's what happened in the Georgia Senate races.
It could have.
People were so disappointed over the election result that they didn't show up the way they could have. And if you believe that Democrats are cheating and rigging and stealing elections and stuff like that, one of the best ways to combat that is to show up and vote.
It's the only way.
Make it hard for them.
Yeah, it's the only way.
Don't make it easier for them if they're going to cheat. And you believe they're doing that. Don't make it easier by not showing up. Don't do that.
I know what you're saying is true, because when we found out that Biden, quote unquote, had won the election, I looked in the eyes of so many Republicans and those who voted for Trump, and I could see the total deflating of our spirits. It's like, why did I even try?
Yeah.
And so my point is, you're right. If this election Tuesday night had gone the other way, if the Democrats had been right and they had the nation on their side, I think that would have been it. That's how important this election was. I think we would have thrown in the towel. A lot of folks would have said, forget about it. I'll just, do the best I can for me and my family. So I agree with you. This is why Tuesday night was so important. And again, besides the Braves win, it gave me more hope again for our nation. The Braves win, again, worked on this level for me. It shows dedication, hard work, sacrifice, doing the right thing, and real teamwork really does matter. That's what I saw with them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they didn't give up.
No.
And they were in a bad spot for most of the season. They were under 500 for most of the season. Then they went on a run because they didn't give up. They kept working. And we need to do that too. Win, lose, or draw.
Yeah. Got a much bigger stakes.
Play hard to the end.
Much bigger stakes than the World Series for our nation. So anyway, congratulations, Braves and Braves fans. David, they can hear this entire broadcast.
Well, by the way, I'm going to do the chop.
He's doing the chop right now.
Did you see Trump doing the chop?
I did.
Very awkward.
He can't do it right.
He needs to be trained. It wasn't very fluid. I mean, anyway. But you can hear the podcast, Apple Podcasts on your iPhone or tablet. You can check it out on Facebook or YouTube. Just search for MereCon Media or MereCon Podcast.
And that's David Curry, and I'm Cleve Walker, inviting you to join us for another edition of Mere Conservatism. The fight's not over with yet, but keep the faith.